Hi, this is Scotty Elkon with Dallas International Film Festival and Select Film News. We're here with the filmmaker behind Other People. And Chris, introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is Chris Kelly, and I am the writer and director of Other People.
Chris, tell us about where this story comes from. It seems like it very much could be a very personal story. And
Yeah.
tell us about
I know it's weird. Sometimes I feel like people don't think that's true. I guess I just assume that it's obvious, but yeah, it's pretty autobiographical. It's not. It's like loosely based on when my mother was sick and I moved home to be with her that year when I was there at home, and it's not. Like I always say, it's not like a documentary of my life. I wasn't trying to, recreate it verbatim, but I just kind of, when I was writing the script, just reflected on just things I remembered about the experience that were sad, that were funny, things that I learned from it, and this is sort of half autobiographical.
So I'm curious, because there was a distance in time, a few years between when you started writing it.
Yeah.
And what made you kind of take over and start writing this? Because you're a busy guy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I work at SNL that's like my normal day job. And so I knew I wanted to write a feature and I didn't really know how. And so I kind of, first and foremost went with like what, write what you know. And this, I felt like I knew it. I had like a handle on what I wanted to say with this script. So just strategically, I thought it was like smart and to write something that was like a little closer to me. And then when I just started writing it out, it just sort of like started working. And also I am known I write comedy. I write at SNL and Broad City, and I've written at The Onion and other comedy places that are just strictly comedy in the past. And I wanted to write something that was a little more like tonally, like an example of what I like, or, just to tell people this is what I would write on my own, which is sort of like half comedy, half not so much, or where the comedy's like more rooted in something like sadder or realer. That is kind of what I like to watch when I go see movies or watch TV. So I wanted to try to force myself to work in that space.
Definitely felt more real, like this is real life, basically.
That's good. And it was, yeah.
I'm curious then, is your writing style different? Like when you're, writing obviously for SNL and you're going for the time, or Broad City compared to this?
Oh, I mean, I would say like SNL is the polar opposite of making a kind of quiet, dramatic movie. And that, I mean, like tonally it's very different, but also just the writing process. SNL is so quick. You write an entire show from scratch in a week. I mean, not me myself, but the writers do. So that, you write everything you write for SNL, you basically write in one night. And so you're writing. It's very fast-paced. You don't have really a lot of time to like overthink. It's just kind of go with your gut, whatever's funniest. And you don't really have a lot of time to like polish and pick away at it and overthink. So you have a couple of days to produce it, and it goes live, and it's either great or terrible, or usually somewhere in between. And it's fun that way, because if it's a great sketch, you get instant gratification, and if it's not so good, you're like, well, all right, I'll start again on Monday. Whereas with a film, it's nice because you have time to really like think about it and like think about like why you're making the choices that you're making, and you have time to perfect it and all that kind of stuff. But it is also, on the flip side, more nerve-wracking, because you're like, I spent like a year or more on this. Like, this better be something. Otherwise, I don't just get to start over on Monday and make a second movie right away. So yeah, they're very different.
I don't want to give too much away, but you start with the big thing that happens.
Yeah.
Why that choice?
I love it. And this isn't a spoiler. I think it's okay to say. It starts with one of the main characters dying, and the movie's about you. It starts with her dying, and then it goes back and it shows you up until that. That was because someone had pitched to me early on, like, what if you don't see the character die right away? Because the movie's about like, will she die or will she not die? And my thought was that that's not what the movie is about. The movie is about she's gonna die. What do you do until then? We know. I don't know. I thought it was like more dramatically interesting for the audience to watch the characters kind of scramble and try to like find meaning and try to like fill the time, and like, what do you do with that time? I don't know. I thought it was like sadder and more horrible to watch in some ways. And I also just didn't want the audience to ever be wondering if she died. I thought there were other more important things that I wanted them to be looking for or thinking about, I guess.
You definitely get to concentrate more on all that's going on, because you want them to get that.
Well, and there's something interesting. I didn't like the moment that my mother was sick, first diagnosed, I didn't know she was going to die. But at a certain point, it becomes obvious, once they pretty much tell you. And so that was interesting to me. That kind of felt like putting this scene first in the movie in real life. Like, she's going to die. you don't know if it's like a day, you don't know how long the movie is, you don't know like how long it's going to take or when it's going to happen, but like you know what's happening, so like what do you do until then? Like how do you go through it? And so that's kind of the feeling I wanted from putting that scene first in the movie.
Well, it definitely works. So
okay, good.
Great choice.
And also it's like had that first scene is like dramatic but a little funny too, hopefully. So also I wanted to tonally be like, this is the tone of the movie. This is what you can expect, hopefully.
Sets the stage.
Yeah, a little bit of like hard sadness and then funny. Hopefully, I don't know.
Let's talk about first. Let's start with Molly.
Yeah.
Casting of Molly.
Yeah.
She gives an amazing.
She's the best, right?
That's incredible. Though.
She's great.
She really
does
pull this character. How much reflection of your mom is in her, and how much is just Molly just tackling this?
I don't know. I think my mom is in the script in some ways. So like, you know, at the end of the day, I'm always going to see my mom just in the script because that I kind of wrote it obviously based on her. But I wasn't trying to cast actors to be like, you need to look like my mom and you need to be like me and that kind of stuff. But there was like a general like warmth and humor to my mom that Molly definitely has. And so I think just because Molly is like full of life and very funny, I don't know, she just like kind of radiates like a special quality that my mom had. But yeah, she didn't like, we didn't like sit down and I didn't say like, here's everything about my mother, you must walk like her, you must talk like her. I just think it happens, there's overlap, it just kind of happened to come through. But she is so good. I mean, I always knew Molly was good because I loved her on SNL, but I'd seen her in more dramatic stuff, and she works a lot with Mike White, and she's dramatic in his stuff, and I just knew that I wanted her for this, and when she was like, I'll do it, I was like, okay, I can picture this.
What's it like having Adam and Naomi be producers, and that impact is, I mean, they've kind of shelled out a nice, we obviously know them and acting, but like their producing side must be really fun to work with.
Yeah, I mean, it's the only reason this movie's even happening. I mean, they very early on were like, we are interested, we want to produce this with you, and like it wasn't a real thing that was going to happen until they were interested, and they were great. They were on set every single day. I mean, Naomi and Adam made this movie, and they were on set every single day, and they're still with it. I mean, during the editing process, everything. They're great, and they're good producers, but they're also like you said, Adam's an actor, and they both have good senses of humor, and they just aren't like I don't know. We just are on the same page. It was like very helpful because they're very creatively smart, as well as like literally producing a movie. They can do that as well. So it was great.
What about, obviously, the beginning of the year, getting to go to such a prestigious festival with this? What was that experience like? And, I mean, it must be fun that's how you start your year out.
Yeah, it was I didn't expect it. I didn't even, I would think to get into Sundance would be cool, but I wasn't even trying to think about it because it was my first movie and I didn't want to, like, really get my hopes up or have any expectations. But opening night was crazy. And like in retrospect, I mean, it was cool for many reasons, but it was also nice just to like land and immediately do it. So I didn't have to like sit there and be nervous or wonder how it was going to go. Just as soon as we landed, we were opening the festival. So it was just sort of a whirlwind, but it was fun. And the whole cast was there and it was cool. It was a very surreal out of body experience.
What about bringing it to a Dallas audience, a different audience, obviously, than Sundance, and just the whole atmosphere is so different than Sundance.
Yeah.
That must be fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like interesting anytime you get to like experience, because I'll probably sit there and watch it with which I've seen the movie like a million times and feels sort of like weird to say, but like I like watching the movie with different audiences just because I'm still so new to this and I really haven't done it a lot before, so it's interesting to see like how different people react to different parts of the movie, and like the movie plays differently each time, so that's always really fascinating to me. I love it. This is very cool to be here.
Can you talk about the rest of the cast, from Jesse and then all the amazing supporting actors?
Yeah.
There's so many fun people in this.
Yeah. Well, Jesse Plemons was the first actor who was like on board the movie like more than a year before we shot it, and he's just like such a great actor. I mean, and this is so different than everything he's done before, but you know, I was a huge fan of his in like Friday Night Lights and Breaking Bad and Olive Kitteridge and all these different things he's done, and he's just great. He's like a legit amazing actor that was so cool to like watch work. And then everyone else in the cast was one of the things I really wanted with this movie was to like have a lot of like comedy people and comedians be in the movie, you know, from like Matt Walsh to Paula Pell to Brad Whitford is funny, and like a lot of the people need improv scenes, and June Squibb and Molly, but like a lot of people who are really good actors but they're also funny, or maybe you even only know them as being funny, because I thought it brought a nice like levity to the more dramatic scenes to have like comedians in the movie, and also like my whole family was pretty funny, and so it just felt realer to me to kind of cast people who had a good sense of humor. Like John Early, who plays the friend, is one of my really good friends, and he's from like the comedy scene in New York, and yeah, I just really wanted people who could make me laugh, and I think that helped.
I'm curious, has this experience getting the script done, getting this made, impact the way you write for SNL now? Like, is it
I only write small, sad sketches. No. Everyone dies in my sketches. It's made both. Like, working at SNL has made this movie extremely fun, and then working on this movie has made working at SNL more fun, I think, because they're so different that it's like I get to bounce back and forth, and I'm so grateful each time I'm doing one, because I'm like, to be able to do both of these simultaneously is so cool and different. I don't know if it's like affected my like day-to-day writing. I don't know. It hasn't affected my work at SNL, but it has affected like what I think I want to do in the future, which is like I hadn't really directed before this, and I really loved it, and I hadn't really worked on anything so dramatic before, and to get to work with like Jesse Plemons and to get to work with these actors and to see them work and to get to direct them was like really fulfilling, and was never something that I'd really considered much before. And so I found myself being like, oh, I want to like follow this. I want to do this a little more. So who knows if I'll even continue to do comedy 100% or in the future. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, it begs the question.
Yeah.
Are you writing right now then?
At SNL?
No, like on the side, obviously.
Yes. Well, I'm working on a pilot right now with a woman that I work at SNL. We're working on a television pilot together. So I'm not sure exactly what my next like movie would be. I don't know. That's like the good and the worst question about being at things like this is everyone's like, now what movie? I'm like, I don't know. I'm still doing this one. Yeah, this all came. It was such a slow process, and then so fast all of a sudden that like now that it's like coming out and all that kind of stuff, I'm not like, I feel like I should have my second script right here, but I don't. But yeah.
So can you tell us anything about this pilot?
No, I can't.
That sounds juicy.
I don't know. Yeah, we're truly like finishing it up right now. We want to. Yeah, I'm very excited about it. That's like my next thing. I've always wanted to like. I mean, it's easier said than done, but I've always wanted to like potentially like show run my own show. So that's our goal right now.
To not obviously we can jump off like spoiling that, but I'm curious, knowing the great history of people being able to jump into that role. Have you looked to anyone or asked anyone like, what are the next steps I need to do, or are you just doing this, just?
Oh no, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, Lorne Michaels, who's at SNL, is just sort of like knows everything, and so once you're there for a while, he's always like a nice mentor. You really can talk to him and get advice from him. So he's very like he's the one you'd want to talk to and get advice from. So we do that a lot. And I mean, yeah, he's probably the number one. Because he knows so much. Between like SNL and the movies he's done and all of the TV shows he's gone on to produce, like he kind of knows what's up. Yeah.
Well, Chris, I can't wait to see what you've got cooking.
Thank you.
Everything you've done so far is great, and thank you for bringing the film here. It definitely plays, like you said, that tonal touch is, I think, maybe your voice as far as film. So thank you.
Thanks for having me. This is exciting to be here.
Awesome.
Yeah,
thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks.